welcome to yet another edition of On the Spot. I'm Ryan McDonald.
And I'm Rich Galp. We got a great show for you today, including a nice first look at MechAssault 2. We got our hands on the game today, thanks to a nice visit by MechAssault, by the Microsoft and Day One Studios, and we have a developer interview with them, and as well as some words from Greg Kasavin.
Then we're going to be checking out a little action with Jeff Gerstmann on Burnout 3. Of course, you got Ryan Davis's full info on the single-player and multiplayer aspects. Today we're going to be showing you some of the online stuff. Jeff's going to be standing by, and you ready, Jeff? You going to get us some Burnout 3 on?
Sure, Jeff looks ready to me. After that, we're going to take a look at Counter-Strike Source. Ryan ran up to a cyber cafe the other day, and cyber cafes all over the world were the first ones to get Counter-Strike Source. So Ryan got his hands on it. We'll see how that looked out. And also, we're going to have a live demo of Red Star, which looks like a pretty cool 3D action shooter.
Finally, we're going to take a look at a website called theinternetarchive.org. For those of you that may or may not know, internetarchive.org, they pretty much, the name says it, they archive stuff. We found some fun clips on there, that some old school stuff, little Doom 2 action, little Batman action. There's some fun stuff in there that we're going to do a little show and tell with that. And then we'll be taking your questions throughout the whole show. GameSpot Complete members, of course. Feel free to use the On the Spot page to actually submit your question right there in the form built in and send them our way, and we'll be taking those and answering your questions.
Right now, let's move right on to MechAssault 2 Lone Wolf.
My name is Denny Thorley. I'm the president of Day One Studios. I'm here to talk about MechAssault 2 Lone Wolf for the Xbox. MechAssault 2 is obviously the sequel to our very successful MechAssault 1, which launched about 2 years ago with the launch of Xbox Live. We had a tremendous following, and we're very excited about the success of it, but we really weren't satisfied. We really wanted to push the envelope a little bit. So Live was coming out with some new features, which they refer to as Live 3.0, and we saw tremendous room for improvement on the game based on how the community would end up using MechAssault 1. So we took a step back and said, you know what, I think the single-player campaign, we really want to make that more immersive, and we've put a tremendous amount of emphasis on that. We've upgraded our graphics engine so the game is much more visceral. And we've taken all the features that Live 3.0 really has in terms of its messaging and things of that nature and tried to really blow that out. You know, in MechAssault 1, your avatar was the mech for the most part. And in MechAssault 2, we've allowed you to get out of the mech. So you're a character in the game, and you get to experience the Battletech world as the character. And so the sense of scale is just dramatically different. When you are in one of our dense cities and you see a mech turn the corner and the scale of this 60, 70 foot mech, it's really an incredible experience. And we're allowing you, since you are the character, to get into different vehicles in the game, which really broadens the tactics of the product. So you're able to try different strategies and kind of play, you know what, maybe if I take the VTOL, which is kind of a hover flying vehicle, or the battle armor, which gives you the capability to jack enemy mechs, so that the play field is a little more dynamic than what it was in MechAssault 1. At the end of MechAssault 1, you ended up acquiring the Ragnarok, which was new technology. So the characters are kind of moving over. We're 2 years in the future. We're still battling the Word of Blake, and we recognize that this technology, there's more technology out there. And we've taken the technology that you got at the end of the last game and kind of incorporated, and that's what made the battle armor. Then it kind of the story marches on. The difference between how we're presenting the game is pretty significant. In MechAssault 1, it was pretty much a mission, and then you go to a mission briefing. In this, we're keeping you immersed. So most of in terms of what you need to do is told to you in kind of a character-to-character conversation. So it's kind of fun. You get a chance to meet Natalia, and we're introducing some new characters. Foster, who is from the first one, plays a little bit larger role in the game, and of course your character as the pilot. And that gives us MechAssault 2, which comes out the end of December.
All right, I'd like to thank Denny Thorley for that great interview right there. And now joining me in the studio is Greg Kasavin. Hey, Greg.
How's it going?
All right, this morning you got to play MechAssault 2.
I did.
What can you tell us about it?
I can't talk about the multiplayer right now, unfortunately, and that's the only part I actually did get to play, so, oh my god, anyway, it's pretty cool. We gave it our Best Xbox Game of the Show award, much to the chagrin of people blindly expecting us to give it to Halo 2. We also gave it our Best Shooter award back at E3, and the game has definitely just shaped up since then. It's supposed to ship actually like basically about 2 days before the end of this year, so the January release date that's been floating around isn't quite accurate. It's slated to ship in very late December right now, and basically it's going to be a lot different from MechAssault in some ways. It's still very much like an action-packed shooter, robot-on-robot violence, but now sort of the big key is that you can get out of your mech. So one of the cool things about the Mech Warrior games and the Battletech universe in general is you have these big walking tanks of different size. So you always want to get a good sense of scale. Like, are you really as tall as a skyscraper and all that? So in this game, when you're running around as just some little dude and you see like big giant feet stomping at you, you really do get a sense of how big these things are supposed to be. They're these 80-ton tanks bristling with weapons. So you've got stuff like mech jacking now. You can actually use this new kind of assault suit. It's about this 12-foot tall, like fast and nimble suit. It can like claw into enemy mechs and basically like bypass their security and like cause the enemy pilot to just eject, without doing so on purpose. So the poor bastard goes flying out, and you get to get into his mech and hopefully stomp him dead or something nice like that. So this stuff will, as you might expect, figure into the online game, but it's also definitely part of the single player. So even though the single player campaign is going to be linear, like about 20 missions or so, you'll be able to use different tactics and strategies as you go through the missions, just because all the vehicles on the battlefield will theoretically be yours to control if you can figure out some clever way to get a hold of them.
That's what I was going to ask. I remember seeing in the interview earlier we just saw with Denny, he said there are more vehicles available too. We have some great footage up right now of the battle armor of the Claw climbing up, but he also mentioned stuff about like a flying vehicle.
We saw less of that in the single player than in the multiplayer, so I can't quite talk about it, but we did talk about the flying vehicle back in our E3 impression, so that's open season. But it's one of those things. It's like you read what we have to say about the single player that's coming up today, and you get a very good impression of what the multiplayer is going to be like, because the gameplay mechanics don't change that much between the single player and the multiplayer. It's just try to imagine this stuff with a whole bunch of people running around, and you start to get an impression of the scale and the dynamic that they're going after.
I really want to ask you specifics about the multiplayer when you say, but I know I can't, I can't. And so can people tune in next week to learn more?
They can indeed. We will definitely have a big MechAssault 2 update that's all about the multiplayer coming next week.
And we'll have a second interview, more gameplay footage, all kinds of informative text for everybody.
Yep.
Great, can't wait. Well, thanks for coming by, Greg.
Sure thing.
And on with the show, Ryan and myself with Burnout 3.
Earlier in the week, we had Ryan Davis go through a full video preview and text preview. That's on the site for you to check out. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend looking at that. But right now, we're going to take a look at a live demo of the online portion of Burnout 3. Rich, you're totally getting your Burnout 3 on, aren't you?
I totally am, and this game is awesome. I'm playing against Jeff right now. He's in his office. I'm here in the studio. And right now, I think actually Jeff lapped me while we were waiting to play, which is why it says I'm in second, but he's behind me. And I took him down, apparently.
You guys are actually playing the race mode right now, right?
That's right, the race mode. And the way the race mode works is we're pretty much driving through traffic right now, as I'll demonstrate right here.
Ooh.
And the way race mode works is we're going head-to-head right now. We got 3 laps on this course. And you get some turbo boost, which helps you go a little faster. And the way you increase your turbo boost is by driving a little recklessly. Like, you'll get points for trading paint with someone. You'll get a little boost for near misses like I just did right there. And then what the price you pay, of course, is that you will run into someone else.
Did I see Jeff's car just like disappear for a second, though?
I think you may have.
What is up with that?
I think he's cheating because he's played this game before and I'm still rather new to it. But
Of course, this is an early build still. The game is still, what, 3 weeks out before it coming out?
I think so. It's coming out in late September, right?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, it looks awesome. You can see the sense of speed is great, reminiscent of other EA games like Need for Speed Underground or yeah. Sorry, but I lost my train of thought right there. But yeah, it's a great game. There's other modes involving as well. Where there's the crash mode. Ryan, you can tell us a little about the crash mode while I try to find Jeff.
The crash mode's like super cool. It's like basically set up so that you can have your cars all basically coming down this this one straightaway. Most of the crash setups are for an intersection, so there's like tons of cars just lined up, tankers, all kinds of fun stuff, just to basically wreck your car into it as hard and as fast as possible. One of the interesting things about the online mode that we're showing today is the fact that In the regular game, the single-player game, you have aftertouch, which of course allows you to steer your car after you crash. So, for instance, if Rich was going to crash right there, all he'd have to do is get his R1 on and basically maneuver his car using the analog stick. It's not it's not perfect. It's not a way to make sure you hit everything possible, but it definitely gives you enough control to where you can steer your car into multiplier bonuses, as well as other vehicles, of course, with the thought being that you're going to try to hit as many vehicles as possible to get your score as high as possible. With the online mode, though, you still have aftertouch, but the difference between the online and the offline mode for the aftertouch is that offline, it actually slows the game down, a little bullet time action, so you can kind of maneuver it a little better. It's only for a limited time, but on online, of course, when you got all kinds of people playing at the same time, you can't really slow down time. Otherwise, it doesn't really work because everybody's, working in real time. So the aftertouch in online mode simply just doesn't have the slowage of time, I guess you would say. So instead, it basically just allows you to do the aftertouch, crash into people full speed. It's pretty cool.
Lego just gave me points for losing a mirror.
Oh, really?
It said wing mirror crush plus 20 or something like that. I was like, that's pretty cool. I think Jeff has long finished this race, which is why I'm trying to race to the end here. But this game looks really cool. I can't wait. Now, in online, you can play with up to 3 other people. Is that correct?
I think that's actually 5.
5 other? 6 total? That's
6 total,
awesome.
yeah.
So, and I can't wait. But, yeah.
Enough about Burnout 3. If I can go ahead and turn the attention to, don't get me wrong, I love my Burnout 3, and I have probably already logged in at least 25 hours or something crazy. But the game that is the future of all gaming, I got a chance to go and see yesterday. We've seen it in the past a few times, but Counter-Strike Source, Rich mentioned at the top of the show, we got a chance last night to go to a cyber cafe because yesterday at 3 o'clock exactly, Valve released basically CS Source for beta only for cyber cafes, though. So if you look at steampower.com, which is Valve's Steam site, they list all the cyber cafes around the world, not just in America or California. It's all over. You can go to steampower.com and see if there's a cyber cafe near you that has CS Source ready for you to play. Of course, in about a week, they're saying that CS Source is going to go to the full beta, which of course will be for Condition 0 people. Anybody, if you've got Condition 0 loaded on your machine at home, you'll be able to play Counter-Strike Source before everybody else. But right now, for the next week at least, Counter-Strike Source is only available at cyber cafes. We went yesterday to check out the scene and see what people thought of the game, so let's take a look.
Right now we're at Elite Network Center in Novato in the North Bay area. And today Counter-Strike Source was released, or the beta, to most cyber cafes. And we had a number of people come in just for that. I'm part of Conspiracy of Silence, it's a local clan, teamconspiracy.net, and we've been playing Counter-Strike for about a year and a half or so. We've seen the transition from 1.5 to 1.6, and we've been expecting Counter-Strike Source to come out for a while now, and we really enjoy what we saw today. The physics in Counter-Strike Source are very nice. That was the first thing we noticed. Immediately on the one map that you can play on in Counter-Strike Source, D-Dust, there are objects strewn about the map, and we had a whole lot of fun just shooting them around, seeing how we could interact with those objects. The physics in Counter-Strike Source, we can take advantage of them by maybe throwing objects in front of where someone might run out to delay them, give us that extra moment, that split second to shoot them in the face. And but there are disadvantages too, in contrast with Counter-Strike 1.6 and all the other versions, as you can't stack on each other's heads as much as you could beforehand. It's not as easy to shoot through walls, but despite that, it's a beautiful game, and the physics are really nice. Counter-Strike Source is a great game. It's an update that I think everyone will love. It's a facelift that Counter-Strike has needed for a long time.
Looks great. So Ryan, we got some quick questions for you right now to help fill in the gaps. Being the Counter-Strike fan that you are, what do you think overall of CS Source?
It's awesome. It is just if you were a CS fan, it doesn't get any better. It's exactly what everybody wanted. Counter-Strike for years has been an awesome game. It's fast, it's action, it's everything you want in a first-person shooter. The only thing, of course, has been that the engine is starting to get old. You know, we've seen games like Battlefield Vietnam come out, Unreal Tournament, 2004, all these great-looking first-person shooters, and Counter-Strike, while we all love it, and that gameplay is still very exclusive to Counter-Strike. That fast Twitch-based first-person action. The engine is just it was starting to look aged. You play Counter-Strike, and as much as you loved it, you couldn't help but think, man, I really wish it would have looked. I wish it would look a whole lot better. And that's exactly what CS Source does. Basically, it gives it a whole facelift. The game from the physics engine, of course, is using the Source engine, which is why they're calling it CS Source. Same engine they're using for Half-Life 2. I'm super stoked. Yesterday when I got to go and actually see it in a regular game environment with regular people playing, I can't tell you how much fun it was. It was a blast.
So are you implying that we're irregular people around the office here? All right, that's cool. So how do you think the physics, do you think they'll come into play much?
It's funny because that's been the big question. Everybody asks, is it just the graphics that are looking better? Is it just the physics of people, flying around ragdoll style? Is that all it's about? Right now from the levels that we have seen, it looks like the guys that are building Counter-Strike Source are very, very cautious to implement anything that's going to radically change how the game plays. But there are some stuff that you can do with the physics. For instance, if you go to, I guess it was DE Dust, which is what they were showing yesterday, there were several drums that were around the main area, and these guys, in the video clip that we rolled just a second ago, you could actually see it. The guys were throwing grenades near those drums. And in a lot of cases, they're in spots where people might, usually come rushing out. So the interesting thing that happens if you land that grenade close enough to those drums, you might not actually hit the guy with a grenade, or you might do a certain amount of damage. But if you hit that drum, of course, that drum's going to go flying like it did in the video clip. And if there's somebody, nearby, is it going to jack them and, get your kill right there?
That's cool.
So there's some cool stuff like that. Some of the other stuff we saw. Of course, Italy on the regular Counter-Strike. You go through the first apartment building. Counter-Strike players know what I'm talking about. You go through the first building as a counter-terrorist. There's tables and stuff in there that are basically just window dressing. You can't do anything with them in the regular Counter-Strike. But CS Source changes that. All those objects that are basically window dressings in the original game actually become fully realized 3D objects that you can move around. So those tables in the apartments in Italy, you can actually shove those out. I got a chance to see it the last time I saw Source. Basically, you just shove those tables out, and so what people are doing, they're thinking of ways of how they can use that. They're shoving those tables out in front of doorways. And so what happens is, those dudes coming rushing through, it's like they either have to move it, which you'll hear, or they have to shoot it because it's wooden and it'll fly apart. Either way, you're going to have a little bit of a detection as to whether or not they're coming through there. And so there is going to be some cool stuff that you'll be able to do, I think. I don't think it's going to be a revolution to the game by any means. I think there's going to be some neat tricks that people are going to find, though.
So finally, when will the public beta be released?
Like I said, Counter-Strike Condition 0 players, basically anybody that has that game currently installed on their machine at home, you'll see in a week, Steam will basically have this thing that says, Counter-Strike Source beta, click on now to start downloading. And from what I heard from the people yesterday, the download's not that big. They were downloading multiple copies of it to several different machines, and they said all of them only took an hour. So I imagine next week or in a week and a half or so when Valve actually does release it, it'll be a quick download and everybody will be playing, and it's going to be awesome. Of course, just Condition 0 players, once again, if you don't have Condition 0, you're going to have to wait until probably Half-Life 2 comes out, which CS Source is going to be the multiplayer for Half-Life 2.
Very cool. Thanks, Ryan. Let's move on to our demo of Red Star, shall we?
Totally. As I was informed moments ago by the newest member of GS Live that you will soon meet, Roger Chang, he actually told us that Red Star, he was actually excited for this game because it's based on a comic book. It's a comic book, and the game, in all honesty, I didn't know there was anything about a comic book before, but the one thing I did know and why it was a surprise that it was pretty good was that Acclaim is actually bringing this out, and it is super fun. We had Alien Hominid on the show a couple weeks ago, and once again, this is two-player action at its finest. I'm sorry, I'm in the throes of rad melee combat.
I'll take care of him. You keep talking.
Okay, so the cool thing is, I'm this big guy, right, by the way, with this cool sword. The cool thing with this is, I'll show you, is that you can shoot your gun. See, like that, you launch rounds all over. Awesome. The game is kind of like Contra. Right here, you can see this setup where it's basically like these big boss battles come up. But right here, we're actually in the beginning of the game, so as you can see, this is basically teaching us how to play. I wanted to load a later level, but I figured it was a little tougher for Rich, so
Oh, that's nice of you to take
but
pity on me.
But right here is basically you can lock onto your opponents. You hit the circle button, and you can launch launch your shots at them. But then when you get close, of course, you can start mashing on the square button and start unloading some cool melee attacks like you're doing right there.
That's cool.
The X button, as you can see, is like this little shield. And as we get further in the game, you'll realize that there are enemies that you can only attack with melee attacks because they have these energy shields that block your projectiles. But yeah, so far, everything that we've seen for Red Star, going through it, it's definitely a really cool game that I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by.
So I'm noticing a kind of Russian, or I don't know if I'm allowed to say Soviet theme to it, but so what was the comic based on, did you say?
The comic, as Roger was mentioning to me before we started, he was saying that the comic was based, I guess, loosely on some of the events that took place in the, I guess, the Afghanistan, Soviet Union kind of little action that they had, in history. I honestly don't know a whole
Rambo
lot.
3, then the Rambo 3 era, I guess you're saying.
Do you know? Are you joking?
No, that's what Rambo 3 goes to Afghanistan to help fight the Soviets.
I'm not big on the Soviet history, so.
Or Rambo history, apparently.
Yes. But right here, this is a boss battle, so you can see it come up. Big old ships. The game is basically a 2D side-scrolling shooter except 3D. It's totally old school. Once you get further in the game, you'll see that some of the shots from your enemies actually go really slow. So it's almost like a traditional, Gradius or R-type of game. So like here, you can see right here how slow the shots are going. Mm-hmm. So we can actually run around and try to dodge them, or just hit our shields and block the ones that we need to. And as you can see, in the tradition,
housing this boss right now.
In the tradition of really cool big bosses and big boss battles, Red Star definitely has a whole lot of them that keep coming at you.
Very cool. This game looks awesome.
Definitely. So should we go ahead and take some questions?
I would love to do that, but first I'd like to learn a little bit more about the Internet Archive.
Oh, yes.
Actually, if you don't mind.
Yeah, totally.
Should we put this game down?
Yeah, totally. Otherwise, I'm going to be playing it. So the internetarchive.org, I was actually going through some forum posts that I saw the other day, and these guys were chatting back and forth about this crazy site called the internetarchive.org, and they were talking about these crazy old movies that they have basically on their site free to check out. So I went on there and looked at them, and sure enough, there's some hilarious stuff that I wanted to show to some of our viewers today, because I thought if I enjoyed it so much, other people probably get a kick out of watching them. So I got 3 clips lined up for you.
All right, so let's run a clip.
He's a dirty bird with a deadly exploding umbrella. And she? Well, she is perfectly evil. A destructo feline skilled in flips, kicks, and cartwheels. They must be stopped. Someone must cage the wild animals let loose upon the streets of Gotham City. In Batman Returns from Konami, only you, as the Caped Crusader himself, can end their wicked reign of terror. It's Super NES action like you've never seen before, simulating all the adventure and intrigue of the hit blockbuster movie. Step into the silver screen as you fight for justice through 7 cruel and unusual stages. Meet your arch enemies in intense 3D simulation as you command the high-speed Batmobile, and then chill out in Penguin's dreaded Arctic World hideout. Gameplay is designed to appeal to all age and experience levels. Batman Returns brings superhero stature and silver screen simulation to the Super NES, only from Konami.
Pretty sweet. So now what you're telling me is the Internet Archive is basically, it's a site that does what it says. It archives the entire internet.
Honestly, I don't know that they do the entire internet.
Mm-hmm.
But
that'd be kind of big.
That would be pretty big. But they do have a ton of stuff on there. So just some of the clips that we're taking a look at today is just a taste. I wanted to just kind of give people an idea of what they have, and not that you should go other places and watch video game movies, but I thought it was cool, and I figured you guys would as well.
So let's look at another clip, shall we?
Yeah, this one's for Doom 2.
All right.
This one's hilarious.
Nice.
Doom 2 is just such a bigger, badder, better version of Doom. A lot of people out there waiting for it, for sure. This is pretty much more popular than football.
Once you start playing, you're hooked.
We have a lot of people asking what to expect in Doom 2, when's it going to come out, where is it going to be, where can they buy the game.
We knew it was going to be a monster hit. When the people from GT Interactive Software sat us down and gave us a clue as to what kind of numbers Doom 2 was doing in pre-orders, we all hit the floor. We couldn't believe it. It's phenomenal.
A lot of the retailers are getting demand for Doom already, so they know that when Doom 2 comes out, they're going to be able to sell a lot of product.
That was some sweet hair.
That was John Romero, baby.
That is John Romero. That is the man who birthed
right.
Doom himself,
Doom 2,
along
yeah.
with John Carmack.
That's right. So the last clip, the first one we had was a little Batman action. This one's also Batman action, and it's kind of a little anticlimactic after the Doom 2 one. But it's funny to see how they used to do video game commercials. And that was when I was watching this one for the Adventures of Batman and Robin. It was a really cool Sega Genesis game for anybody that remembers. But so I had to show this clip not only because it was a cool game, but also it's amazing to look back and see what were those people think when they're making video game commercials back then.
Let's check it out. Two words for you, Ryan. That's some impressive scaling.
Yes, it's some business.
It's something. And speaking of business, it wouldn't be on the spot without the Q&A from our loyal viewers out there, the complete box. If you're a GameSpot Complete member, you see a box, send us some questions through that, and we'll answer them on the show like we're about to do right now.
That's right. The first question we have today comes from Doug K. He comes from Kirksville, Missouri. His question is, anything exclusive planned for the Xbox version of Doom 3? Do you know the answer to this one?
I don't.
I do. Doom 3 for the Xbox is actually going to have a co-op two-player mode. So there you go. There's the exclusive Xbox Doom 3 action.
So you can say it's exclusive in that it's coming packaged with Doom 3, while there's a mod out there already for Doom 3. So I think are in the works, so you can play a co-op.
And the other day you were asking me whether or not there was a mod that you can attach the flashlight to your gun. Mm-hmm. There totally is.
That's right, and it's called the duct tape mod, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Very cool. All right, our next question is from Mark Ravy in Columbus, Ohio. Given the ongoing legal controversy around games like GTA, do you think San Andreas might be a little lighter on the edgy content? Ryan?
No.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I would also say no.
Yeah, those dudes are making their money, making those games outrageous, and that's what that series has always been about. So by any means, I have no reason to believe that they're going to change that going to the third game. So
I see no reason to change either. It's a lot of fun. I think most gamers out there, I'd say the vast majority, are responsible enough to separate video game violence from real life violence, and we're doing a good job of that. So keep giving us great games, Rockstar. Thank you.
The final question we're going to take today is from Orlando. This one comes from Arlington, Virginia. The question is, will you have any available for sale? Oh, will you have any GameSpot merchandise available for sale?
Oh, I was wondering that. I was looking for the noun in that question, but I have a whole bunch of T-shirts sitting on my desk right now. They're mine. Can't have them, but.
We'll have an online competition next week and give some away, though.
That's great. Yeah, and actually, also, if you're looking for GameSpot merchandise like T-shirts, if you watch Let's GameSpot, which is another great show here on GameSpot, Trivia Challenge, we're always giving away T-shirts and whatever kind of stuff we have lying around.
You always got some good
notebooks or
pens.
pens. That's why I have all the T-shirts at my desk. Yeah, so there's and of course, if you're looking for some GameSpot merchandise to buy, there's our E3 DVD.
That's correct, and which is currently available. You just find it right off the main page. The other thing is, but we are thinking, more and more questions like these come in. We're definitely started thinking about getting ourselves a GameSpot store for people to come in and get the cool shirts and jackets and hoodies and all kinds of fun stuff that we have here, because it's pretty good stuff.
Where's my hoodie? That's what I'm looking for.
I got one for you.
There you do?
Yeah, totally.
All right, cool.
I'll hook you up after the
show.
show. All right. Speaking of after the show, I think we're just about done.
It's about that time again, isn't it? We're closing it out. So be sure to join us next Thursday live once again at 4 p.m. Pacific time. That's 7 Eastern in the United States.
That's right. We're going to be giving away some more stuff next week, have a little online competition. There is some cool stuff that we got lined up. We got some really cool stuff to give away. Jim Lee autographed a bunch of cool Contra posters for us. So our friends at Konami are hooking us up with that kind of stuff. And so be sure to watch. We're giving that stuff away. We're taking a look at the new Contra, as well as a ton of other cool surprises. So be sure to check back in with us.
Great. And also, remember, as we said earlier with Greg, check it out. We're going to have some great MechAssault 2 multiplayer stuff. We're allowed to tease it now. We're not allowed to show up, but we saw you have 6 gameplay movies and developer interview on the site. Check that out. For the single-player component, we have even more stuff coming at you for multiplayer, which is where the game is at its best.
Absolutely. So until next week.
I'm Rich. This is Ryan. Well, thanks for everyone on the crew, Jim, Roger, and Dave, and all the guys down hanging out in Mexico. We miss you, but we'll see you next week here on the Spot.